Hi, everybody. We've made it to week 2. And so this week we're going to look at the ISTE standards. ISTE, or the International Society for Technology and Education, is a fairly important organization for all of us who use technology in the classroom. Um, it is an organization that I've been a part of for a long time, but they also happen to be the organization that puts out the most accepted technology standards for teachers, for students, for principals, for technology coaches. They have different standards for all types of roles, and they're all fairly well aligned and meshed. And we're going to explore the standards for educators and the standards for students so that you can sort of compare them both, but also get a feel for sort of how we are intending to integrate technology into the classroom and how to get the most benefit from it. ISTE is sort of the trendsetter for standards and that sort of thing. So it's a really good thing to get familiar with. So we will write a short paper this week, which should be pretty easy for you. You'll have to do a little research along the way and a little bit of creative thinking, but we're not asking for a really long paper here, maybe 1 to 2 pages. So you can read a little bit more about it in our weekly notes, get the objectives, and then the ISTE Standards Exploration Project has, of course, one of those handy dandy tip sheets. So here's all the information about a little background on ISTE and links to the standards for students and the standards for teachers. So we're looking at, about 750 words. That might wind up being 2, maybe 3 pages, depending on how much you like to write. But, try and keep it in that ballpark. That will include things like you could put images and links, videos if you want to, whatever you feel like. So the standards for students, you will see take a particular tack and make sure that you click on each of these to expand them, because it's not just about the main bit, it's all these sub items. So 1A, 1D, 2A, etc. So you'll see all those things. My cats are going a little crazy today. I do have 3 cats, in case you were wondering. I'm not a crazy cat lady, but I have 3. And 2 of them really like to chase each other. So you will see them periodically in the background. Don't mind them. But we've got all these different standards, looking at the ideal of what we would like students to be able to accomplish. I know a lot of us, especially our early childhood majors, when we look at these standards, sometimes we say, well, kindergartners can't do this stuff yet. No, maybe not. But every student can do most of these things at some level. And so the idea behind these standards is to make them developmental in nature. As students get older, they get better at doing these things. But all students should be striving to be able to do these things in some way. So that is sort of the intention of the standards. You may find that some of these standards don't make much sense at all, and that's okay. That's part of our discussion. You may find that some of them make perfect sense, and you wish that you had teachers in your high school or your middle school or your elementary school experience that were following these more closely. That's all great stuff. So, as you read through both of these, consider these things. The standards for educators, you're going to be asked to kind of compare, see the similarities and differences between the educators and the students. And you'll see that there are some common threads like leadership, being a lifelong learner, being a good digital citizen, a responsible digital citizen, collaborating, being willing to share, work with other educators. So these are all the aspirational standards for teachers. That includes you as a pre-service teacher. And no, you're not going to be doing all these things all the time. But these are all things to keep in mind as being part of your toolkit for the future. So you will strive to do a lot of these things. You will strive to be a great designer, facilitator, analyst, collaborator, etc. So as you look through these, keep all that in mind. If you disagree, if you find them, some of these just don't make any sense, you'll want to add that. Also, take a look at the actual ISTE website itself. I'll go back for a minute. Take a look at the actual ISTE website itself. Now, note that, and I won't tell you have to, but you can become a member at a much lower rate. I think it's only like 40 or 50 bucks for a student. So you as a student right now get a tremendous discount on your membership. If you find that this is a really valuable tool and really want to make the most of it, you may want to become an ISTE member. It's not necessary, but it's something that's available to you. You can also just learn about all the stuff that they have available. They have podcasts, they have a blog, they have certification programs. I've actually been through the certification program. All kinds of things for every level of teacher, whether you're at the beginning or near the end of your career. There are journals, there are all kinds of cool things. So whatever is interesting to you, click on it, learn more about it, tell us what you found. And then the last thing is we're going to come up with a lesson idea related to one of these standards or several. You can relate several if you want to. Think about what you might do in a classroom. It might be a short thing, might be a big thing. You choose. There's no limitations on your creativity here. Just think about something that you might do in a class and then see where the ISTE standards fit. Pick a standard for students. Pick a standard for educators. So how do those things cross paths? So for example, I have a math idea here. So, you may want to come up with some sort of integrated activity that, includes math or social studies, language arts, whatever, your choice. And then look at those standards and think about how your lesson fits into that or how it could fit into that. For example, maybe you'd like to do a lesson about cyberbullying. Well, Digital Citizen is a great place to look for those. So you might look at the 2A, 2B, students engaging in positive, safe, ethical, legal behavior, and they're modeling that for others. And then when you look at the teacher side, you see something very similar. Bring that one up too. You'll see that there's a citizen tab for teachers as well, creating experiences to make positive, socially responsible contributions. So this is kind of the other side of that. This is a very, very direct lesson that directly relates to those standards. You can do it that way. You can do it in a lot of different ways, but write about a lesson idea that speaks to you and think about how the standards fit, and that's your paper. So not that tough to do. You can do that paper in a Word document. You could do it on a Google Doc. If you use Google Docs, great. Just make sure I get the link here and that you still send it to me because I still need this for Blackboard purposes. But also make sure that it's shared to me or that it's shared openly so that I can access it because, by default, Google Docs are private, so you want to make sure that it's shared out there so that I can actually access it when you want me to. So keep that in mind. We'll be working more with Google Docs this semester, so if that was all foreign talk to you, don't worry, you're going to get good at Google Docs later on. So that is our project for this week. Have fun. Be sure to ask questions if you have any, and hope you enjoy exploring the ISTE standards a little bit more closely.